it's Mark. I am the Sanderson collector, and I am here today not to talk about a specific edition of a book, but to talk about why Kaladin Stormblessed is the most important character that Brandon has written. Representation in fiction is incredibly important. People need to see themselves represented in the stories that they read, in the heroes that they see, in the mythologies that they admire. These things are very, very important to people. There are so many reasons why this is important. If you ever doubt that this is important, you can go look at the stories of people seeing themselves represented in some type of media for the first time and just seeing their race or their gender or some aspect of them represented well as a character who does awesome things is just life-changing for so many people. Additionally, every person is different. There's all kinds of people in this world, and for fiction to be realistic, we need all those people to be in our fiction. And this diversity is something that has been a push in fiction for many years. We are seeing lots of results of it now. There is a lot more diverse fiction being heavily promoted and winning awards with, people of character as main characters, or women, or people who are non-binary. Lots of representation of a lot of these things, and it is awesome. However, one thing that I have not seen as much push for is representation of diversity in mental health. Before I get into talking about Kaladin too much, warning, I will be spoiling all of the Stormlight Archive books for details about Kaladin. And this one is very, very important to me personally. And Kaladin is an amazing representation of mental health in so many ways, and I love him so much. He has depression, and it's not just, he's a little sad now and then, it is major depression that Kaladin suffers from. Now, Kaladin goes into depressive funks for many reasons. We see this at the beginning where he is a slave and then he fails to rescue people and he is forced to go through war. He has lost his own brother and been betrayed by the people he thought were the honorable Light Eyes. There is a lot of horrible stuff going on in Kaladin's world, and it is so believable that he would be depressed from those things. But it is also believable when Kaladin gets depressed from much more normal things. He gets depressed when the weather is bad, for example, and that is very important to also see that someone can be depressed for the small reasons and not just the big, massive wars. The representation of Kaladin's depression is just so awesome because we get to see it from his perspective. We're in his head and we see that he is so just down on everything in the world, down on himself, and so much of it is about his perception of himself. That is something really important about depression, is a lot of it is a negative perception of the world and yourself that may not always be true. And we can see this in Kaladin's viewpoint and with the other viewpoints, that it's not always true, that he thinks so poorly of himself, but it is a true representation of how he feels, and it is so accurate to how depression actually works. And I know this because I have been suffering from depression for many years. It is an ongoing struggle for me, and I am so grateful that I can see myself in Kaladin for the depression struggle. It took many years for my friends to convince me that I was depressed and that I needed help, and I didn't have any major triggers like war and slavery like Kaladin did. A lot of my triggers and reasons were more mundane, everyday things, but I did still see myself in Kaladin when I started reading The Way of Kings, in his fatalistic thoughts, in his self-defeating, oh, I'm never able to save everyone, I'm never able to do things properly the way I'm supposed to. And I connected with that on such a deep level, and that really helped me overcome my, no, I'm fine, depression is just something that happens to other people, I'm not really depressed, it's not that bad, and realize that yes, depression can happen to me too, and yes, I do have it and I need to go get help for it. These days, I am doing considerably better. I am on medication for my depression. It took 2 different medications to find one that worked and didn't give me massive headaches. I'm in therapy. I see a cognitive behavioral therapist every week, and he is massively helpful. And this is another thing that I loved with Brandon's depiction of Kaladin in Rhythm of War. Kaladin starts what is essentially group therapy for several other people and goes through it himself, and just the representation of talking about it, expressing your feelings, and really validating them, and maybe even starting to understand and come to terms with the fact that the feelings and thoughts about yourself are not always true, was just so well done. Brandon, you have done absolutely amazing with Kaladin. Thank you so much. Another very important thing with Kaladin being a main character with depression is that there's magic in the world. There are cures for all kinds of illnesses and wounds, like we see in Rhythm of War even. Kaladin's forehead brands eventually get cured and removed. But Kaladin's depression is part of him. It is incredibly deep-seated, and it is not a problem to just be magically waved away. Okay, he's not depressed anymore, now he can go be a perfect hero. That would have made me so mad if that had happened, and I am so glad that this is an ongoing struggle for Kaladin, because that is so representative of how it is in reality for people like myself who suffer from depression. I take meds and I go to therapy. I have been working for many years with my depression, and it is still not gone. I still fall into depressive funks. Some of my absences from this channel have been because I just wasn't feeling up to doing videos, or I didn't feel good enough to do videos. I struggle all the time with feeling like I always do everything wrong, or I mess up, or I'm not good enough. And sometimes it's just situations are miserable for me, even when they should just be minor setbacks. For those who don't know, I broke my foot a couple of weeks ago playing on the playground with my kiddo, and the doctor told me, okay, I'm putting you in a boot, I'm giving you crutches, I will see you back in 4 weeks. It has been incredibly difficult to get around and do things these past 4 weeks at home, and I have much more sympathy now for disabled people and the challenges that they face on a daily basis. And this past Monday, I went back in for what I thought was a checkup to say, okay, you can start walking again, your foot is at least decently healed up. And the doctor said, no, what I meant was you need to come in for a checkup so that we can make sure that your foot has started healing. You need to be on the crutches and off of that foot for another 3 weeks. And that just sent me into such a major depression. I didn't get anything done at all on Monday. Just the idea of not being able to function and do a lot of the things I normally do, like vacuum the house, it's become a mess, or do the dishes. My partner has been having to take care of all of the dishes, and I have seen it put a heavy strain on her. Just not being able to do any of that has been really bad. Note that by the time this video goes live, I probably will be out of this boot, so things happen, and then I will get over them. I will get past this. It is temporary, but in the moment, hearing that news was just overwhelmingly crushing and was a massive trigger to my depression, and I am so glad that I have Kaladin as a model for, okay, yes, I can be depressed, people are depressed, but I can still be the hero of my own story. I can go forth, I can do awesome things. I don't have to do everything perfectly. I have to accept that I cannot save everyone. But I can still do some really cool stuff, and y'all Watching my videos and encouraging me has been amazing for my mental health as well. So thank you so much to everyone. And if you have depression as well, I wish you the best in your journey, and I hope that you can find some consolation in characters like Kaladin in fiction, and I also really hope that we see more fictional characters with mental illnesses in the future in other books. So if you have depression, I really hope that you can find some help, but know that there is no magical cure for this illness. I will be back next week with another video, hopefully much more lighthearted, where I talk about some actual physical books and is much more on brand for my channel. I just wanted to get this one out there because it was so important to me and has come up multiple times recently in my life how important depression is. And so this is my video for this week. I will see y'all next week, and until then, bridge forward.